This is Slice of Cake, where we talk with founders about their startup equity journey. You'll also hear from investors, accountants, and lawyers who will share their expert guidance. Coming up on this episode...
That's traction, man. Like, you're solving a real problem. If we were to do that and there's like crickets, you know that what you're doing is wrong. Like you're just not, like your market, at the end of the day, the market is the judge, regardless of investors, what any of the opinions are, whatever the market says, that's it,
Now over to your host, Jason Atkins.
So I'm just going to say thanks for joining me on Slice of Cake. It's the inaugural session. So I'm excited to have local founders from the GC and, people that I admire with a lot of energy that are solving a real problem for my first, Slice of Cake. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us. We're very excited to be the first Slice of Cake.
Yes, very excited. Thank you, mate.
And you recently joined as a cake customer. So we'll dig into that a little bit and I'm sure we're helping you out in some way there. And, you guys are now, progressing through your journey pretty well. And I hear you've got a crowdfunding campaign opening up soon, which is cool. We can delve into that. And we're going to try and, go through your whole journey a little bit today, a founder's perspective. We'll focus a little bit more on the equity side of things, and what you've done around your cap table and your shares and capital raisings and things like that. So we can try and extract a little bit of that stuff out. I've also got a couple of cool stories I got from a mate of yours, Jared Doyle, that we might touch on along the way. So maybe we can kick off right back in the beginning and just talk a little bit about the start of Eggy and how you came up with the idea and then maybe, how you first got around getting a company and, kicking off the whole capital structure as well.
Yeah, cool. So Eggy kind of started because we just got to a point in our life where we just had stuff everywhere. Life's info was everywhere. We had bills clogging up our emails. We had documents up in cloud drives. We had cards scattered in our wallets. We had, the obligatory pile of papers on the kitchen bench and stuff stuck on the fridge. And we just both went, what year is it and why is this still in this format? And surely there's got to be something out there that takes care of this and brings it all together and makes it easier. We did a lot of research to try and find that thing and couldn't find a solution for it. So our next step was to get in touch with a very good friend of ours who is now our product advisor, but Pete Cassidy. He has built and scaled a very successful tech company himself in Stackler. And we touched base with Pete and we just said, look, this is the problem and we've got an idea around what a solution could look like. And he basically said, there's nothing out there. Let's have a crack. So that was kind of the very initial stages of Eggy.
Yeah. How was that?
What year, sorry?
How long ago, yeah.
So that was in 2018. So about 2 years ago.
Yeah, we did a lot of... research actually before we built a line of code. So the one thing we tried to mitigate our risk from day one, Jace, to be honest, like we knew Pete's a product manager. So we knew we needed a market and we wanted to make sure that what the solution that we're bringing to market would be pretty niche and it'd be new, and we knew Pete would be able to tell us that. So once he sort of gave us the go ahead, we did a lot of research to make sure people were recognising the problem, and I've seen your eyes light up when we talk about life admin. I think everyone relates to it.
Like before this one, the big one for me used to be passwords. I used to want to have a shirt that said like F passwords.
yeah, exactly.
That's right.
And we're going to get you a shirt that says F life admin.
Because being a busy entrepreneur particularly, I've got like a pile of cards this high just for my work and banking. And then, as you say, you've got all the bills piled up everywhere. And then you've got the school stuff. Now I've got the pet.
Yeah.
And, the list is just endless. And so, a system with that is going to make people's lives just that much better and allow us to do more fun stuff. So
that's right. And that's right. It's a problem that everyone relates to because everyone has some form of life admin. And I think also once you start throwing kids in the mix too, like that just amplifies it. But we knew that there was something needed to be done. So that's why we decided to take the leap of faith and get stuck into it.
And then how have you funded things along the way? Have you got some external investors, and how's your team structure? Have you got a bit of team equity going, and you probably had some early advisors as well. So how have you sort of got your head around how to structure your company and your raises?
I think the best thing, mate, for us was we went to Pete first. And Pete got us on, we did a lot of research, and we're both from high performance environments in our past lives. Katie's done a PhD, has worked with some pretty cool companies, and I was a professional athlete for 10 years. So like we knew what it takes, and it takes people, mate. Like you really need great people. So we knew that team was important. So Pete Cassidy's product advisor, he said we need to know that we can build this. So we got a tech advisor, Sam Nurkic, on board as well. And then later on, just recently, which was another big win, we got Dan Grzelak from Atlassian. He's head of security. He's our security advisor.
Wow.
So we put an advisory board. That was the first thing we did. Pete advised. He said, mate, you've got to get advisors who have been there. They've built and scaled $1 million companies. So that's the first thing we did, mate. And then he said, that the reality is our tech advisor just said we're involved in deep tech. So it's going to be expensive. So I know, mate, people talk about what we read was the fundraising process was very linear, but we found it, we scrapped, we bootstrapped, we got friends and family, we raised funds early on in our first round, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that in the initial stages, apart from bootstrapping, which we had to do, but it was just finding other people that related to the pain. So it was really just family and friends who we were speaking to about Eggy, and not only did they believe in us, but they could see the vision of Eggy and where we wanted to take Eggy. But most importantly, they related to the problem. They themselves knew that life admin is a shit show. We've got stuff everywhere. And so they knew what we were trying to do. And so, so to Kirk's point about bringing people, it was people that had belief in us and Eggy's vision and wanted to solve the problem too. So they came on board as our first round of investors.
And so they were big supporters of you, and they cared about the problem. They wanted to see it solved. And it's very much about the people and the problem and the solution, is it, in the early stage?
Yeah.
And I guess without going into all the nitty gritty, but with regard to the structure, was it like selling equity? Did you use a convertible note? Were there any safes involved? And did you need to do a valuation of the company very early on? And how did you get around those things? Because they can be, I'd like to delve into those problems, because, we see time and time again founders, especially early on, really struggling with, how do I do it? What instrument do I use? How do I value it? And, it's a bit of a minefield. Did you guys find it kind of tricky, and how did you get around those things?
Yeah, mate, we did find it tricky, mate. Like, I guess we tried to learn as much as we could. Pete was great again, our advisor. Like, I can't stress enough how important an advisory board is, but people that have built and scaled companies.
These are non-financial advisors, but because they've been through it all before, they can give you, just help you with rules of thumb to jump ahead and get things done.
That's right. They can help us. There's always going to be, mistakes that you make and learn along the way, but for them to be giving us advice that stops us from making mistakes saves us a lot of time and money and heartache.
And I think as far as the longer term equity strategy, Jace, because I think that a lot of founders, where they get, if you choose to raise funds, which has its pros and cons to use equity for growth, you have to have a longer term strategy. Like, you can't give away, I guess, your valuation as a startup, especially a concept with some prototype designs and a little bit of tech done. It's all about execution, and it's all about thinking about, 5 years down the track and how much equity you need to fund growth. So we really put in a long-term for our valuation. That's how we come to a valuation. We knew we just didn't want to be, founders going to market with a concept and raising money. We put the team together to make sure that we could prove that we could execute. And we've got some tech built and some design, some prototyping done. So the valuation was sort of based on, we wanted to prove that we can execute. We get the team to execute. We can build stuff, and this is the longer term equity strategy. So the research that we did was a lot of new founders get caught up. It's great to raise $500,000, but if you raise it at the wrong valuation, you're dead and buried straight up. So we needed to know that 3 or 4 fundraisers down the track that we still had, you know, a controlling interest. And some of the big, in our research, Jace, we actually spoke to investment companies and what they look for, you know, and they want to know that you're still going to have majority share at your Series B, Series C. So, you know, no one's coming in and taking over the company and before your vision is enabled and their returns are realised.
Absolutely.
That's an accounting term, isn't it, mate?
What I like about that is you did your research and you understood the market. And I think that's a great learning for any early stage company is, you know, when you're selling you're raising capital, you're essentially selling a part of your company and the company's the product. And you need to think, you know, what is the product development going to be over time? And there is a market for that. And so doing your research about who you want your investors to be over the medium and long term, what their expectations are going to be, and then, you know, sort of back solving that to where you are now, I think is, you know, really insightful thing that other founders could really learn from.
And I think as you'll see when you do your research, mate, you see all the horror stories, like all the, and you read about it, but it's not until you're in the game and you see what happens, like firsthand with other companies, when you do become, you know, investment, they're part of our team. The investors are part of our team and part of our core values, you know. So, like, we know down the track they're going to be with us, you know, rain, hail or shine, where the bad stories, the horror stories, mate, people pulling money after 12 months and they're not in for the long term. All they care about is driving your valuation down and their exit strategies. That's all they care about. They don't care about your product, anything, you know. So,
yeah, I'm very wary of really short payback periods or, you know, any sort of punitive sort of 12 to 24 month exits that very early stage investors are looking for. They're really tough for early stage companies to handle, and I have seen a bit of that happening in term sheets, and particularly with, you know, companies in their first 2 years. I mean, it's really impossible to handle those sorts of terms. So it's really smart work to think ahead. And I guess with your what's coming up in the future for you, you might have is it announced? What's happening?
Yeah, well, it's soon to be live, but yeah. So we did a soft launch or an early launch of Eggy. Got our beta version into the App Store on the 1st of May. So it's been about 8 weeks now, and from the response that we had from doing that, we had a massive engagement, had hundreds of users within the first couple of weeks, and just so many people that wanted this problem solved yesterday and telling us, well, you know, their feedback and thoughts and what they wanted Eggy to be. So,
and what was the trigger point for like getting all this inbound interest? How did you sort of generate that?
So do you mean like how did we get to that point where we kind of launched and got people on board?
Yeah, I suppose the exact channel and method that you know, the aha moment when, you know, that inbound sort of interest came in and you really felt that energy. I mean, so many startups are looking for that moment, and they're so
well, and it was right in the middle of, you know, when COVID had just hit. So we were the same as everyone going, you know, we have no idea what the future looks like and what this is going to mean for Eggy. But we basically put ourselves in front of the camera and got on our socials and said, hey, everyone out there who hates life admin, we need to get 100 beta testers. And we wanted to do it in 28 days, but we actually got 109 in 24 hours, 109 people signed up. And from that, we were like, okay, this is going to be pretty good. So, yeah, we just continued to do that. So we continued over the 28 days. And I think by the time we actually did have Eggy into the App Store with its early version, I think we had 460 people who had signed up their interest. So that was kind of the point where we went, wow, this is something here. People want this problem solved. So, and
I know we've chatted about it before, Jace, but I think the important thing, like you're saying, how do you generate that? Like, that's traction, man. Like, you know you're solving a real problem. If we were to do that and there's like crickets, you know that what you're doing is wrong. Like, you're just not, like, your market, at the end of the day, the market is the judge, regardless of investors, what any of the opinions are, whatever the market says, that's it, you know. So I think because we're solving a big problem and aligning the product vision with it, retention and we're still, you know, we've done no advertising, it's all been through organic socials and just keeps growing and retention. So
and so to answer your question, I guess going through that process and realizing how many people were on board the Eggy Army and wanted this problem solved, we just thought it was a natural progression to open Eggy up, because Eggy's always been for the everyday person, just to make life a bit better and a bit easier. And so, that's why we made the choice to go into a crowdsource funding campaign. So our campaign will be live within the next couple of weeks, and we'll be running an expression of interest over 3 to 4 weeks, and then the offer will be open, and we'll see how we go. But we think that there's a big case for, not only bringing people on board who want to share in Eggy's success, but want to help solve this problem with us and continue to give us the feedback to get Eggy to be the product that is going to be the answer for everyone's life admin pain.
Can't wait to see you on the share registry, Jace.
What I love about this is momentum. And I think with early stage companies, if you're really solving a problem, and when you feel the momentum and you get picked up and pulled along, one thing just leads to the other. And I'm sure you guys are in this sort of crazy period now, a bit like Cake is. And, now you're preparing for your raise at Virtual. We're big fans of Virtual. We're partnered with those guys. And so Cake's registry will integrate really well with your raise. We're regularly doing raises. And I suppose on the back end of that raise, you can have anywhere from, 100 to a couple of thousand new shareholders,
yes.
As we're regularly receiving from these equity crowdfunding. And I think we did one with them, and someone had about 300 or 400 shareholders, and we had to rebuild the whole back end of Cake to handle that. And then a couple of months ago, we had one come on with about 1,800, and we had to rebuild the whole back end again. And so however many shareholders you get, I'm pretty sure we can handle it, which is good.
Mate, it's really funny. When we joined Cake, when we joined your team, it was just before we went through the virtual process. And then, as you know, when you do your eligibility criteria, you can select the drop-down box for your equity partners. And I saw Cake. I had a little bit of a giggle because our understanding of the tech build, I was thinking I'd love to see what how the tech flows are looking for the back end, trying to understand, 500 to 1,000 shareholders.
It was really, really interesting that, the biff in the product team here, totally rebuild the back end for this one client with this huge cap table.
Yeah.
And my view was, this is our space, and we just got to do this. And we bit the bullet, and there was some hard weeks there to get that one done. And now you guys, it should be a breeze. And I think we're tested up to about 5,000 holders at a time now, which is great. And,
so when Eggy comes in with 10,000, mate, we'll give you some new workflows.
It'll handle it.
Please break it. We want the space to be as hot as it possibly can be. We want cap tables to be as big as they can be. And software is a great enabler of that. If you go back 5 years, there was no crowdfunding regime that allowed for the retail crowdfunding, and there was really no software, I don't think, that could have, on the registry side, handled this. I mean, how would you be able to handle 300 or 400 or 500 shareholders without Cake? I mean, I shudder to think how that would be done.
I was just about to say, I think there's definitely some similarities between Eggy and Cake in that, it's taking care of all of that stuff that you kind of have to do because there's no better system to do it. But once there is a system that can handle it for you, then you can focus on the more important things. So for us with Eggy, we spend so much time in our funding strategy, but if we could save some of that time and effort and energy and put that into, creating a better product, then, Eggy would just be, massive, further ahead than what it is. And I guess that's where we see the problem that Cake is solving for us, and allowing us to not have to individually issue share certificates for the hundreds of potential shareholders that are coming on board.
But you're right, Jay. So you're right, mate. Sorry, mate.
They all want to know, when can I sell and how can I transfer, and then where's this, where's that. We've got a highly automated team here with the help desk and FAQs, and so all you need to ever say is www.cakeequity.com.
Well, it's funny.
Deal with it.
Funny that you say that, because when we just the response we had, obviously from our first release, our first version, I was talking with Pitcher and Partners. I'm not sure whether you've got them on board or whether they're. Here's a little plug there, Cole Wilkins, come on. But I spoke to him about the pros and cons of crowdfunding. You're talking about, SaaS platforms and how they've evolved, so we can take advantage of that now. And he said to me, "Oh, mate, it's a nightmare, like compliance." I said, "Mate, haven't you heard of Cake? Come on, mate, get on board. I've invited you. Come and have a look." But like I was, walking through Cake, and he's just going, "Oh, awesome, it's cool."
We need to work with those guys soon. They keep coming up time and time again. I've got like this list as long as 20 arms of people to work with, but I really do want to work with those guys. I know they're really big in Brizzy and they're super through City Labs and stuff, and we're now pretty heavy in the mentorship up there, so I'm sure I'll get a chance to catch up with them soon.
Mate, you let us know if you need a coffee with the man, Cole Wilkinson, mate. Yeah, good.
So a big thing, I love the way you handle your community. It's so cool, and it's really engaging, and a lot of it's driven from your own sort of, personality, which is, awesome and a big part of entrepreneurship, in my opinion. Hope you don't mind the compliment. And then, and then you've got the Eggy Army, and, so this is all cool stuff. I need to come up with a name for the Cake crew. The Bakers is just not doing it for me.
Cake monsters, the Cake monsters, mate. The Cake monsters.
Nice. So that's definitely on the whiteboard.
Here you go,
mate. We could have like the Cookie Monster, but the Cake Monster.
Yeah.
Something in there. And then, so how do you sort of bring your investors and do you guys have an ESOP in place at the moment? Are you looking to have an ESOP where, your team are involved? Because we sort of see it as an ownership team. There's this concept we believe is it's much more powerful to have an ownership team than it is to sort of have shareholders and ESOP holders and whatever. And then you can really bring those owners with you on the journey. It's a slightly different narrative. You need to have those guys than, your customer group, but, pretty similar. Is that a big part of how you sort of see it? And how do you feel like that's going to happen over the next little while?
Me, mate. No, mate. I forgot to mention, mate. We put the first thing we did with our advisors. We put them on like a founder advisor agreement, and that's through ESOP. So we're in the process with Cake actually. So we had half our ESOP set up, and we've got our tech teams. We've got a full-time employee and a contractor. So we're juggling. We're in transition at the moment, issuing equity, and to be honest, I guess, again, coming from high-performance environments, we know that they have to have the same interests as what we do, but we know that, people, you earn your equity, you earn your stripes. So the tech team, the team have been, we've been ripping and tearing now for a little while, so we're ready to execute ESOP ASAP. So we've got it set up, we're ready to execute, mate, but we want to get the right, and I think the thing is there too, mate, is that I know there's all these vesting schedules, but again, it's about bringing the right people on. Like I think, again, we've seen in the ecosystem people running around and giving equity out willy-nilly. And again, I didn't really answer this with your question before, but when we've spoken to people and even investors, we've you can get the quick win, and if you're not looking long term, it'll be about just getting the cash, just bringing the people in that you need. But we've taken the long game with everything, and it's been harder. Like we've had a lot more sleepless nights, but I think in the long run it's going to pay off because we bring the right people together, and that's an important thing for us. With
hard yards with the people. We don't work in startups, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. One thing that we did early on with Eggy too was establish what the company values were, and for us, it's family, it's a better life, and it's making magic. And they're not just words. They're not. We didn't have a brainstorming session and come up with them. It was kind of like, what is Eggy about? And so it's really important for us that the people that are part of Eggy, embody those values and family in whatever shape and form it is. That's a big part of Eggy, and we honestly do believe that everyone that comes on board to contribute, whether it is part of our team or the Eggy Army people that are giving us feedback, it's all part of the same. Everyone's on the same mission to get this problem sorted. So
that's so awesome, and we love that, and we're so similar here at Cake. We live our values, and we really care about having an ownership team, bringing everyone into the success, and trust is a big part of that. And we have a lot of our customers when they first come to Cake have a half completed ESOP. Like it's really, really common because it's kind of like, and do an ESOP, but then it's just so hard. And then, the automation of Cake and the way we streamline it actually just means that you can really use it. And then what that does is it brings trust, and trust is such an important part of any relationship, especially family and your close team. And I feel like once all the documentation's in place, everybody can see it, and there's transparency and there's peace of mind that it's all under control, and then, as you say, if you do need to, for any reason, part ways, there's very clear ways to do that, and it's not going to end up in any sort of argy-bargy. So everyone kind of knows that we've got a really nice, professional and fair agreement in place between us, and how we can, get on this sort of equity journey together. And, we feel like it's a really nice little piece of the puzzle. So I might just finish, because I know we're getting a bit short on time, but there was a couple of interesting stories that Jared made me aware of.
Totally.
So the first one, they're cool, nothing.
Anything to do with Bluey? We're always talking about Bluey.
Yeah, Bluey.
Bluey, yeah, for sure.
No.
We'll put together the next Bluey episode, mate. No, we both obviously all got young kids, mate, so we always... The first half of the catch up is
we relate to the
about
Bluey.
the
latest
Bluey episode.
Yeah, the latest episode.
We were driving out to Canungra the other day, and Bluey and his little sidekick, whatever his name is, there was like huge versions of them like on the side of the road. And
wow! Really?
Wow.
In Canungra, so that was exciting for the kids. But,
so local startup too, mate. Local tech, local film going hard,
going global, like it.
Yeah.
So 2 questions then on the name Eggy. Jared said you might have had a previous name and a little bit of fun and games around falling on Eggy. Are you happy to share that one?
What was the previous name?
We had Morg. It was short for my organisation, and as you can tell, I come up with that. And I remember Dorley when we first met. I think we were tossing around at that stage when Dorley came aboard.
I thought that was before Jerry.
Might have been before, but yeah, we had
Mac. Didn't you have a bit of an issue?
Sorry.
Mac,
so that's the company.
Sorry.
That's the company name. Yeah.
Mac East Holdings is our holdings company, and then we tried to go through with the trading company, and obviously Apple wouldn't let us go through. So
Apple was not a fan.
We had no legal advice to advise us. Yeah, it's probably not a good name if you're trying to push to the App Store. So if you let us out, we're changing. We always had the plans to set up Eggy Proprietary Limited as our trading company, but it got pushed forward pretty quickly, mate.
Yeah, but the name Eggy. What's that? Sorry.
There's endless things to adapt to, isn't there? Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
Another learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eggy, the name just came about from the problem, really, that life admin is a big scrambled mess. So Eggy is life unscrambled.
Awesome.
In a nutshell.
It was all Katie, mate. Like she's obviously got style. She married me, but we were going for ages because, like your brand, yourself, mate. Your brand is such an important part of your soul. And we knew that we could see the future with the Eggy Army, even though we weren't called Eggy at that stage, but we knew what the future looked like, but we knew that was all brought together, that was all glued together through a great branding strategy. And one day Katie just goes, Eggy, life unscrambled. It literally just came out of her mouth like that, and I just went, boom.
But
how good is that?
I think too, again, like other similarities between Eggy and Cake is that the problem that you're dealing with, it's not necessarily sexy or exciting.
Yeah.
So if you can have a name that kind of just, tweaks people's interests and they go, oh, that sounds interesting. So like, I know the first time that I heard Cake, I'm like, I don't know exactly what it is, but I like the sound of it because I love cake.
Yeah, I think
that's our whole thing. Is like, how do we take this really terrible, boring thing that everybody hates and make it simple enough and approachable enough that we just remove that problem from people's lives, And I think, the naming and the branding is key. Part of Cake is about community, and internally, we say sharing is caring, and it's all about, sharing the cake and building a community, which is like, cake's kind of something you do with your community, and it feels good, and people generally smile when they talk about cake, and like to do that in the equity space, we feel like is a gift to the world, and you're doing something similar, around in the household. So I think it's a wonderful mission, and seriously, all the best. Cake's stoked to be a part of it. And to hopefully help you just get all this equity stuff out of your hands, and so focus on building your business and building your team. So thanks for joining the Cake team. Thanks for joining me today. I'm super keen to see how you go, and as we're neighbours, let's catch up soon for.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're very excited about the future and very excited about being on board with Cake as well. So yeah.
And tech on the Gold Coast, mate. I'm looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years, seeing some quality global tech headquarters on the Gold Coast, because we've got some awesome people here.
Even down here in Burleigh and Palmy, mate, I can certainly.
Mate, why wouldn't you give up those big cities for that, mate? Like, honestly, come and have a look.
GC startups.
Startups, mate. It's all about creating magic. I can't think of a better place.
For sure, I'm with you, mate. Absolutely.
Well, when you're going through the ups and downs of running a startup, it's always nice to just be able to go down to the beach and have a swim, even in winter.
Even in winter.
Yeah, well, as you were talking about values before, so one of our big ones is our health. So, we're so focused on our health, and we look after each other's health, and that goes for mental health, which is a big thing in startups. Yeah. And your physical health, but like getting down the beach, having a surf, having a run, getting in the sunshine, I mean, it's the best way to clear your head.
Yeah.
I have walking meetings. I don't know if you do them. Like, I just meet people at that pavilion, and I'll like walk up towards North Burleigh and back. It's such a great way to catch up.
Okay, nice.
That's a good meeting, eh? And it's because it's so tough, mate. Like you said, it's so marginal. Startup is so marginal, and you have to place a priority on your health. Otherwise, you just can't get the best out of everyone and everything around you, eh?
It's always good being in this beautiful climate that we're in too, to be able to take kids outdoors to the beach, to the park, and run them ragged, so you half a chance of getting a good night's sleep that night too. That's always helps.
I've just got a puppy. Can I show you my puppy?
Yeah.
So here's Pogo.
What's it called?
Pogo.
Mogo.
Mogo.
Hello, darling.
Hello, you wave.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, mate! Put that on the podcast. That's going to go unbelievable.
Absolutely, everyone's going to be loving it. He looks just like the puppy emoji as well.
Oh no, he does. Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
How cute. How old?
Now I got this little terror. So he's 8 weeks old. We just got him like 2 days ago.
Oh, look at him. Oh.
So he kept me up. I got to get up 3 times last night, but in a few weeks' time, that'll sort itself out.
Yeah, it's like having a newborn, yeah.
So you're in the trenches again, mate. You're in the trenches again.
Woken up all night front of headache. But anyway, no, we're going good. So Pogo and I will sign off.
Bye, mate.
Good to see you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks very much for having us on, mate, and enjoying the product.
What you're doing. Well, anything you need from us, we'll do. And sign me up. I'm super.
Yeah. Or check just in the App Store. Just go to the App Store, look for Eggy. It's there.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Mate, do it now and get your partner on board, mate. The sharing it's the best ever.
Yeah. Nothing slips through the cracks.
Yeah, nothing slips through the crack now, mate.
Done. I'm on. All right. See you there.
See you. Bye, Pogo.
This is Slice of Cake.